Hey guys, it's Shayun Okimi and welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be talking about a question that I get asked so much whenever I tell people that I leave my protective styles in for 2 to 3 months. The biggest question that I get, besides like how do I wash and care for that, which I have a video on, but the second biggest question that I get is how do I get my protective styles to last that long? There are ways, trust me, there are ways. I'm gonna give you my few tips and tricks on what I do to make sure that my protective styles always last. The reason why you would want to keep your protective styles in for longer, as I've stated in previous videos, is because the longer you can keep in a protective style, the better, because every time that you put in and take down a protective style, you're putting manipulation on your hair, which can lead to breakage. And the whole point of a protective style is to limit the amount of manipulation that you're putting on your hair. So if you can go without putting any manipulation on your hair, that's how you can get crazy growth. Like, that's how I was able to grow my hair as long as I have. I pretty much make sure that every protective style that I do can last long. So let's just get right into this video. So the biggest thing that contributes to how long your protective style lasts is the actual protective style that you're putting in. Good protective styles that I think last the longest are starting with wigs, because with wigs, your braids are braided underneath and you just put the wig on top, and it doesn't really matter how your cornrows look underneath. No matter how rough it starts looking, they're still gonna be covered up. So those are really nice. Crochet is nice for that same reason as well. So my top protective styles that last really long are wigs, crochet, weave, anything that your cornrows are underneath. Now that being said, there are some protective styles that are notoriously known for not being able to last very long. One being passion twist, and yes, right now I am wearing passion twist, but I've had these passion twists for like a month and a half already, and typically passion twists, especially short passion twists, are like known for only lasting a few weeks, but there are certain things that you can do. So if you have a protective style that you know is notoriously known for not being able to last long, like passion twist, then don't go and get passion twists in the way that they are traditionally done. Look to see if there are methods out there. Like, YouTube is a big place. I'm sure there's some hack to almost any hairstyle you can find. The hack that I use is by not actually twisting my hair. So each one of these, even though it looks like everything is twisted on my own hair, each one of these is crocheted on, and I have a tutorial on how I do it. But whenever I crochet on the passion twist, they last. I've done this before and it's lasted over 2 months. I know this can last up to 3 months. So if you know you want a style, look up how long it typically lasts other people, and if there's a way to make it last longer. On my channel, pretty much all of the tutorials that I have up, all of them can last 2 or 3 months. And if there's any that don't, I usually state that. So choosing a protective style and making sure that you install it in a way that ensures that it can last a long time is really helpful. Now that being said, what if you just don't want to do that? What if you want to do another style? If you just want to do cornrows straight out, all of that, how do you make those protective styles last longer? The biggest thing will have to do with how you're taking care of the protective style when you have it in. So the first question I get asked is, oh, do you wash your hair a lot? Like, how do you take care of your hair? Now for me, I can go the whole 3 months without washing my hair. The most that I've ever washed my hair is like twice in a protective style that I had for 3 months. But if you're someone that like sweats heavily every day, then that may not be a good option for you. You might want to wash your hair more frequently. And I have 2 videos on how to wash your hair in a protective style without really messing it up that much. So there are methods to make sure that you are washing your hair properly in a way that doesn't cause a lot of frizz. But over time, like if you're doing it every single week, you will eventually see a little bit more frizz. So if you can cut down on how much you're washing it. That being said, if you're like really paranoid, you can wash it more often, but you may not be able to go for the whole 3 months without it starting to look old. Likewise with putting product in your hair, be mindful of how much product you're putting in your hair. If you're putting anything on your scalp, make sure it's light. The more product that you're putting in your hair, the more buildup you're gonna get, and the more likely it's gonna start to want to itch, and the more likely you're going to want to wash it out. So you can avoid that by just being light with everything. Either put lighter products in your hair every day, or don't put them in as often, so that you can be light with how often you're washing it and all of that. If it starts itching and that's the reason why you want to take it out, try and solve the itch before you take out the protective style itself. The next reason why your protective style may not be lasting as long kind of goes in combination with the first in terms of what protective style that you're doing, but smaller braids last longer. So that can be for cornrows, for individual braids. Generally speaking, the smaller, the longer lasting. So whenever you are braiding your hair down for under a wig, try and make your individual cornrows smaller. Instead of doing like maybe 4 big braids, those won't last as long as like smaller cornrows that are going throughout your head. Don't make them too small, because if they are too small, then it'll be harder to take down, which can lead to breakage if you're being rough on it and everything. But you do want them to be small enough where they can actually last you longer. Likewise with box braids, with twists, if you only have 6 big twists in your hair, those aren't gonna last as long as, say, like 20. If you only have really big box braids, those aren't gonna last as long as smaller box braids. Don't make them too small. Like, you don't want to be doing micro braids. Those are way more likely for you to have a lot of problem taking them down, especially if you're keeping them in for 3 months. Try and find a happy medium. Braids that when you look at them, you can see for yourself that, like, okay, these will be pretty easy for me to take down without like struggling, and not too big to where they won't last as long. Also, a big thing is your nighttime hair routine. That can actually make a pretty big difference. I know a lot of people think like, oh, with braids, I don't have to worry about sleeping in a bonnet or anything. But for me, I found that it helps a lot with like the frizz and everything. So just put a bonnet on. They have big bonnets. What I do is I just wrap a scarf. You don't have to put that much effort into it, but over time it'll show. Like, you won't be experiencing as much frizz, especially on the sides where you're constantly rubbing. And if you have just cornrows that are exposed, that's especially when you want to make sure that you are sleeping in silk or satin. Then the next important thing to take in mind is how you're installing it. So if you're going to professionals, they pretty much know how to like properly seal it and make sure that it can last a long time. So the reason why braids are dipped in hot water is because it kind of like seals and shrinks them and like makes them more uniform and helps them last longer. Additionally, whenever they put mousse in your hair, in your braids, that helps them like stick together and last a little bit longer. So if you're doing your braids at home, don't skip those professional steps to like finish off the braids. And also, whenever you're doing something like box braids or like these passion twists that I have in, and your hair starts to grow out, there's some hacks to make it look like new again. The first is just taking down and redoing just like the important parts that show the most. If you just redo like the perimeter and the very top, it'll look brand new and you won't even be able to tell that the rest is still looking old. So that's one really good hack. Another good hack, if say you don't know how to braid or twist yourself, you can do this hack where you take a rubber band and get some gel and just place the rubber band at your root, and whenever you do this, it looks like new. Try not to tie the rubber band too tight and make sure you put oil on it beforehand, and this works wonders as well. Just some cool hacks in case you didn't know about them. But yeah, it's really not that hard to keep in a protective style for that long, as long as you are doing it correctly. Very simple what I do to make my protective styles longer. I really hope that this video helps you. And if you're trying to grow your hair through protective styling and you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe. I post a bunch of protective styling tutorials like all the time. So yeah, feel free to subscribe, and you can also follow me on Instagram for like quick updates. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching.